Okay, problem with our entrance gate. Arm works, gate's stuck open. Now if you're not really familiar with where things are, we used to have a stop stick sticking over here, but I didn't notice that at first either. Someone's been out here and pulled the cover off it, and they're looking around it, and it said 15 amp fuse and whatever, so I pulled the brush out the outside, and it's like new. And then I was looking up here and said, ooh, wait a minute. Big trouble in Little China. This thing's open about a foot too far or whatever, so it's telling me it looks like the, I'm going to say the stop is broken. It stops it, so what we got to do is get this thing relieved. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a pressure wrench on there. I can't even take that top cover off because it's jammed in there so bad. So first things first. Wow. This thing is really jammed up in there. So I wouldn't be surprised if it blew the fuse, but he says the fuse is okay. So back around there somewhere is where it should be. Let's take. Jeez. Yeah, this might explain why the other one's bent. That may have been what happened to this one. Well, I'm gonna get a pair of pliers because that's not coming off like that. All right, let's try this. Channel locks. Yeah, I believe that explains how that get bent that way, because the other one's bent like that on the other side, and I had no idea how that happened. But now I think I do. I need a couple of these adjuster knobs now. Thumb screws, whatever they're called. Yep. So, why would it do that other than well, there have the answer right there. Somehow micro switch is toast. It's gotten bent back around the other direction, so it looks like the stops are in the right place. A little crack on that one, but so I have to pull that off of there and flip it back over there and see if wow, weird. See if that thing's toast or not. Okay, make note of the wires are on the outside terminals. I already had them off of there, of course. And yeah, I don't think that's gonna work too well anymore. I believe I have some of these. So let's go see if we do, and we'll start with that. And I'm not sure. See that holes over there? This may have been pushed off to the side. It's hard to tell. These things get pushed around. This one rarely ever needs work. That's in there to adjust the clamp up here. Oh, can't see what I'm doing, can you? That there's to adjust these and this clamp if you have to. So rarely do I have to come and mess with this one, so I haven't marked this one yet, but I'm going to go ahead and once I get it adjusted, I'll go ahead and put some black lines on here like I did on the other one, so that somebody can come up here and see for sure that, okay, see that it's moved, and obviously it's moved. These little screws are number 1 Phillips. Try not to drop them. Alright, let me go get a switch, and you know what, let me see if my number 1 work on that. Yep. Since I see a crack on that already. Yep, that one's toast, so I'll go get one of those too. So I've got a combination of issues here. Alright, so here's the new parts. This is what the limit cam EWPLC, nice and pretty. This one, you can see it's cracked over there. Toast, no fixing that. Here's a new This one, I don't have them identified in the package. I just get them from our local gate guys. Automatic gate. Anyway, alright, let's go put those in and see what happens. And this is odd. This has these extra little blivet things there. And that is going to make it too tight. I can get them under that, but I can't get them past those little ramps without breaking these things. So I'm going to take my razor knife after I get grease all over me, and I'm going to shave these down to so it's just even with that. Very interesting. I don't remember them being like that. And I didn't bring the old one. I can look at the old one. Actually, it looks like the old one has them too. Sure does. Wow. Yeah, but that's going to make them break. Oh, that's why they break so often. Alright, I'm going to cut those a little bit. And I think that'll work better. Put less stress on them. Okay, so I'm going to put this down. You learn something new every day. I decided using my razor knife was only going to cut my fingers. So I got my little file out. And then something really interesting happened. As I put this in there, and I was able to put it in a lot easier because it's cut them down halfway. They snap. There's a groove in the bottom of this blue dealie that locks into, which I have never seen before. I've never noticed before. Obviously this one is not in the groove. So that's something I have to make sure of from now on, that those are all the way in the groove. So that'll make that stop breaking so much. Now I gotta figure this out as I manipulate this gate as we go, but now I'm gonna go ahead and pull that other one loose a little bit. Wow. As long as I've been working on these things. That one seems to be in the groove. Sure enough, look at that. I've never noticed that. Never realized. Let's see what happens. Loosen that up a little bit. Yeah, it seems to be in there. It's in the groove. I'm just gonna have to do this slowly and gently, and with my finger on the button so I can stop it. Adjust it as I need to go. Very interesting. Alright, well, good thing I didn't cut them all the way down, huh? Alright, well, let's adjust that and get this switch back on there. So as I notice, as I'm putting that switch on there, something don't look right. So I came over to the other gate, and you can see where the disc is, so that it hits the switches. The ramps hit the ramps, and the switches hit the ramps. Come on. If I can get them to come up. Okay, here we go. You can see that. The other side doesn't line up like that, so I got something problems over there. You just watch this as it comes around. Since we happen to be here. Eventually that'll get here. Okay, as it comes to the ramp. See that? That's the way it should work. Alright, so if you look at this one, this is what I'm looking at. You can see that. Okay, these ramps aren't hitting the switches. Yeah. So that whole disc looks like it needs to come up, and I don't know why. So I'll pull this top thing here and see what happens. We shut the power off to this thing. See if I can. Usually need a hammer for that. Alright, knock this thing up. We keep it nice and tight so you can't just pop in here. So this will lift up off of here. Put soon as I do that, I'm going to screw this up. So I got to push that out of the way. You know what? I'm just gonna push it all out of the way. Push it all the way out of the way. Alright, working that thing off of there. This thing comes off of there. And you see this has got a sleeve on it. It can only go to a certain point. There's a good look at the bottom. So how is it it's so out of alignment? There's only two options. Either this thing is moved, but I don't know if those are adjustable. This thing worked a few hours ago, so why on earth would it change now? You can see that's gonna smack right into that one. This is confusing. This thing's got a pin sticking out the bottom of it over here, which goes in there, lines that up. That's the configuration right now. It goes in there. This floats freely. But it looks to me like it should be up here. It's got to be up there in order to catch those. It's like almost a 1/4 inch. Like this whole thing has come down, but it appears to be tight on there. This is very strange. One of the things I try to do is do videos on everything when it's working properly, because when it starts messing up, then if you don't have a reference, it gets tricky. You got to figure it out as you're going, and it's kind of like this, you know. I really never had to address this issue before. I've never seen this before. I've got new ones of these, but I got a feeling they're all going to be the same. Now, this has been operating like this for years and years and years, and let's see, that one almost catches it. Alright, I gotta go think some more on some other stuff. Do some thinking. Just to pause for a second. If yours is in the grass like this, be very careful. You come over here and kneel down on these things. I'm so stupid I don't remember from time to time. Fire ants. Here in Florida we have fire ants. I'm getting eaten alive. My left leg's bit up, my right leg's bit up. By the time you realize it, that you've been stupid, you've already been bitten numerous times. And now you're gonna sit there and have to itch. Look at them all. Spray them if you got them. Alright, so I've measured the stuff over there. And I come back over here to see if I can figure what's what. Alright, well, even though I couldn't move this, I took the Allen screws and loosened them up. They loosened up pretty easy, so I thought, okay, maybe. Pull them babies out of there, and I tried prying this up. No chance, that sucker is on there. So I'm going to take, I don't have any choice, I'm going to take an old one. An old plate, because I never throw anything away. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to cut it down. I'm going to cut this ring off here and make me a little spacer. Looks like I got just enough room to make the right size, because this has got, there's no choice. This thing has got to fit where it goes up that high so that it hits those switches, hit the ramps. No question. I guess that's what I'm going to do. I don't understand. I wish I would have had a closer look at this past 7 years. I've never seen this before. This adjusts side to side that way and this way, not up and down. And if it was loose, it would be loose. Everything's nice and tight, so yeah, no choice but to bring this up. This is just bizarre. I don't understand. And then I may end up having to bend that little arm because it's like a little bit of a different switch. But it's gotta get right there. I hate having this thing on, but I gotta be able to get through this arm out here. I'm probably gonna have to bend that a little bit so that doesn't clicking. So first things first, let me bring this thing up a little bit, make me a little spacer, and I don't know, but I know what has to be done to make it work, so we're gonna do that. All right, well, here's what I made. Let's see where that puts it. I believe that'll work. I'm gonna have to bend that one a little bit though, because there's no adjustment on that. Obviously it's a different switch. You can see the larger size. So I will bend that out just a tad out here so that hits a little sooner. Stand by. Alright, the devil's in the details, so I took my needle nose and took this just a little bit and twisted it just a little so that this surface there contacts that. So now you can hear that working. Alright, so let me stick this roughly back where it's going to go. Put the top back on it and crank this thing around by hand a little bit and figure out roughly where that is, and then I'm going to run it and fine tune it as I go. Alright, so everything you do has consequences, especially when you change things around. So what did I do? I lifted this, whatever that is, 1/4 of an inch, which makes it work over there, but it also picks this entire pivot up 1/4 of an inch. Now it does appear that that key is going to be basically almost fully engaged, and then you can see down there. So hopefully that's going to be enough. Now I've tightened the heck out of this thing. I had to tighten this back up one turn because I loosened it, get it off. Now pounded that back. These you cannot take off by hand. We don't want them so you can take them off by hand, because the ones on the outside, that means you could open the gate. So by doing that though, I've lifted this. Now I've got an interference fit out here. These run into each other. So I am going to have to spacer this thing up somewhere, either down there or down here, so that that will not run into that. So well, I'm going to turn this thing by hand and see what happens. If it just rubs on it, and I can put this thing back in operation and then come out here and find a spacer for it, or what. Let's see, I don't want it to go that far. I want it to stop about right there. So when the gate is coming around, which one does it? Does it do that one? Which one is what stops it? That's confusing. I think I'll go look at the other one and see what's what. Okay, so gate's not moving. Well, that's because there's a problem, isn't there? Never go by what other people tell you. Diagnose. 15 amp fuse. So we'll shut everything off. 15 amp fuse. Yep. Somebody wants to come through. I'll let them come through first. probably gonna have to wait. Gate's back down. Or shutting it back off. So what was I told? 50 amp fuse is good. 50 amp fuse is blown bigger than dog snot. Alright, let's see if I have one of those in my pocket. Stop. And it's a funny little... Jeez, even my glasses, I can't read that. But I think I have one. 250 amp. Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to assume this is it because I have it in my bag. My bag of tricks. Makes perfect sense that the fuse would trip. Alright, well, somebody's coming through, so we're going to flip everything back on, and when they come through, we shall find out. Alright, gate's up, arms up. Come through, resets when they drive through, arm comes back down. 3, 2, 1, 0. Ooh, look at that. Alright. So, the only thing I got to deal with is going to be this arm being too tight now. So I will probably stop it before it gets into that arm thing for the time being, and then find a spacer for it. But that looks like we took care of our issue there. Now I just got to dial it in. Alright, for now I'm stopping it right here. See, it's clear over there. I'm just going to have to... This looks like it's got a droop in it even. I'll just have to space it out. 2, 1, 0, boom! Ooh, lunchtime. Knock it off. Jeez. Alright, well, let me get this stuff off of here. Let me try this one more time and make sure it's stopping where I want it to. Is this really related? Well, it is, because I had to cut the stuff so I could walk through here without getting creamed. Alright. Overlap it up. Once I get done everything spaced, I'm going to mark it on those switches. Well, I can mark the closing switch. Well, actually, I'm going to dial that in a little bit too, because it's not quite going over center. So, we'll see how we do. I think that'll work for now. So I'll put a little spacer in there. I think I'm going to tweak the closing micro switch. Because you want these to go over center, so that you can't push them open. So we'll just address that too while we're at it here. Let's watch this thing here. Alright, see that? Not over center, so somebody could technically come over here and push this. You see that? You can open this gate. So what I got to do is close it a little more. So I got to back this switch up a little bit. Of course, it's right there. Oh, look at that. That little crack on that one took care of that. Alright, so now we're back to being screwed up again. Alright, well, I'm going to open this thing back up one more time and go get another one of those suckers. Okay, so to enable people to stick it through here with the arm, I have opened the gate and I pulled one of the wires on that back micro switch where this thing broke off. So I'm going to go double check that, but that should allow the arm to come up and down. I think this is the same position it was here just a minute ago until I can get back here with that switch and adjust that for over center. Okay, there's the new ramp. I just kind of stuck it there. It's gonna actuate earlier than later. Put the switch back on there. Let's see if we get a countdown and it closes, and there we go. So the only concern I have is going to be as long as this is engaged enough, we don't shear that key on. It probably will, but if it does, I'll have to deal with it. Alright, so this switch is what's going to stop it. As it comes around. Okay, so there we are. We're back where we were. So what I need to do is give it a little more so it closes a little more. So really the only way you can do that is to cycle it through. Now this is kind of boring, but so we'll come back in just a second. And we're back. So close, but not quite. So we're off about half an inch. So half inch there. We'll try just a few little things like that. Just give that a little snug. And here we go again. Open it back up. And we're back in just a moment. And hopefully this will be far enough. Oh, so close. Quarter inch. It's a little more dramatic up there than it is here, so you just do it a little bit here and we are almost there. One more time, hopefully this will do it. Third time the charm. Boom. Perfect. Gate is closed. Right on the over center. Stop. Give that one a little more of a tighten up. Now, since these are in the groove, apparently those ones weren't in the groove properly. You see how that's laid? Everything's nice and flat. Everything is working just perfect. I'm going to mark those over center. Now if anybody comes up and tries to open this gate from the outside, it ain't happening. You cannot. Same with the other side, in the same configuration. It's now in the proper configuration, adjusted properly. I'm going to get my little, like I did on the other side, get my little Sharpie. I'm going to mark these little guys here, and I am going to measure. Well, I don't need to measure. In fact, I'll put one on both sides. So this one especially, between those two marks, that's the one where it marks how far closed to have it. And then I'll leave that one just like that because I may end up moving that one a little bit, but I don't think so. I think it's far enough. So there we go. I'm going to put it back together. I'm going to run out there and drive through this one more time, make sure everything works perfectly fine. And this one is a wrap. So, epilogue. This could be in the beginning if I would have thought about doing this first, but somebody else had already gotten here before I was, and I gotta tell you, I'm a little selfish about these openers. I really don't like when other people work on them because they're just not familiar enough with them. It's been a lot of years and a lot of tinkering and getting the actual gate guys come out and sit there with them for a few hours to see how this whole thing works, and finally got it pretty well dialed in. Anyway, you come out with a problem like this. So the code was diagnostic code was 15 amp fuse. If it blows a fuse, all right, there's a reason for that. So at that point, instead of just going and getting another fuse, you need to find out why. And in this case, it was because the switch had failed, the arm had come all the way over, jammed up into the side, sucked too much juice on the motor and blew the fuse. So you never just want to randomly change fuses. You want to find out why the fuse is there to protect the motor. Otherwise, the motor would just kept on going until it burned out. So that's the proper procedure. Now that it's opening and closing properly, I can go to lunch. Okay, so that's it for now. I said close it up. I'll make one more run. If there's a problem, you will see it here in a moment. Other than that, till next time. Hey, I'm back. So, the reason you always want to double check everything, and I was putting the covers on here and somebody came through the gate and the gate opened and it stopped. And I knew exactly what happens because this is something worth addressing here. You come in and you see this. Well, one of the tricky parts about putting the covers on this is that the cover goes right along here. And there's the wires for the switches, and you can very easily pull one of those stinking wires off the switches. So you got to be very careful when you put these stinking things on here. With these big ears right here, you got to watch out for that big ear. I have done this before. It's very frustrating. You get all done, you think you're finished, you don't put this thing in correctly, and you hang up on one of those wires. As you'll see right here, you can easily catch that sucker. That's the guy in the NSX.